Good job, team. Get ready for the next round.
Hello guys, AdRock11 here. I got me a match versus ayumideck, and it was pretty good. I'm using nothing but NUs. Let's see how they do. Okay, so I lead off with Metachan. He leads off with a monkey. I faked out, and I saw that I did a little bit more, so I went for the bullet punch, but he switches, which kind of sucks because I really don't like this thing, and I don't want this thing setting up stealth rocks too soon. So I send in Zalin, my new Motham that I'm using, and I'll go for the substitute seeing when he sends out. And I see the muck, and I'm like, okay, I gotta take this thing out post haste, because it's really gonna be a threat, especially if it starts cursing. So I'm forcing them to break my sub. I go for a couple of air slashes. I get the first flinch, which was basically not really much hacks to have to do with this game. He goes for Ice Punch, it's gonna break my sub, and it's gonna force me to switch. So I send in wannabtomb, and he goes for Poison Jab, which thankfully doesn't poison me. Poisons me all the time. So I go for the Will-O-Wisp here, and I wish I would have gotten it. It would have actually kind of paid to burn this thing, believe it or not. And then he goes out to Kane, and I switch out and I just go out to Ouija Girl because I figured it wasn't going to stay in. I go for the Thunder Wave here, which is pretty good considering that most of my guys aren't exactly the fastest things alive. And he goes for a Thunder Wave of his own, which is like, oh, really? I'm really slow. I go for another Thunder Wave here, which would really help me out, but there you go. There goes that flinch right there. So I switch out and I go to wannabtomb, and he goes for Seed Bomb, which I'm guessing was like the best thing he had for it, because it seems like he doesn't really have too many. He doesn't have a fighting move, otherwise he probably would have used it. So I just used knockoff. It turns out he had a focus sash, so I'm like, okay, this thing is frightening me. So I go for a recover because my health is too low, and I want to get back up to acceptable levels before I think about attacking it. So now I go for the attack, but he sends out Inte, which this is one of those Howl Flare Blitz Intes, which I kind of feared when I saw the Japanese name. I was like, oh crud. I wonder if it's, yeah, that is. So I go for a knockoff, trying to knock off the Life Orb that has. It actually has Suka Berry, which is funny because I don't have anyone with Earthquake. He goes for a Flare Blitz, but luckily wannabtomb is being a wannabtomb and being just downright irritating to take out, and lives with 5. And I'm like, oh, you are a beast. Don't care what anyone says, you are a beast. So he sends out Muck, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I send out Peepopa, knowing that Shadow Sneak is coming, because, well, I don't know. Muck would probably outspeed anyway. He goes for a Pain Split, thinking that I was faster, but I'm a brave nature, so I'm always going to be slower. So I go for a Fire Blast. I'm thinking that he was going to switch there, but it turns out he doesn't. So now I think he's just going to stay in, see if he could take out the Licky Licky. So I go for Explosion just to take it out, because that would have left a major flaw in my team. I really did not have much to take care of that Muck. I had to blow it up. So I send out Bubble, and out comes Maribel, or Mary Berry. Now I send out wannabtomb, fearing the Rapid Spin, because I want my rocks to stay up, to break any more sashes and to give some damage on birds, but he goes for a Reflect, and then goes for an Earth Power. So I send in Zalin, because Zalin is just cool like that, and I go for a Substitute, and it turns out I'm actually faster, so I'm like, oh, well, this thing isn't very fast if Motham can outspeed. So he switches out. He goes into Kane, and I set up another sub here. And now Swarm and Piata Berry, it's gonna be pretty much all hills from here. So I take out Kane easily. Now here's where that Thunder Wave would have helped, because if he would have been paralyzed, my sub wouldn't have been broken. And it would have been just an epic Motham sleep. But that didn't happen. He gets off the rock slide. Now this scene comes out, and I'm like, I know I'm not gonna kill with HP Thunder or with Bug Buzz. I might as well just go with Bug Buzz. His stab plus Swarm is boosting it. It's gonna do some decent damage, and I'm gonna die. So, but it renders this thing useless basically, because I'm gonna send in Medicham. I'm going to use Fake Out just to see if that won't kill. Then basically anything else I have will, barring Bullet Punch. So he switches out. He goes to Maribel or Mary Berry. Where am I getting Maribel from? I go for the high jump kick just because it's high jump kick, and my air slash hit, so I'm betting high jump kick is gonna hit too. So I go for Ice Punch to finish it off. And now all he has left is Milotic, which basically at this point a Bullet Punch could KO. So good game, ayumideck, comic rape sub. If you don't know who that is, I will leave a link in the description. And have a nice day. Oh, and Zalin, well, I used Motham. Any other suggestions?